Welcome to the Grow Your Money podcast, where we're on a mission to change how we talk about money. Our fireside chats are the heart of our show, bringing the energy and excitement of in-person events straight to your ears. We aim to connect you with inspiring voices and stories that matter, sharing relatable experiences and insights that will transform your financial life. Everyone deserves access to practical financial knowledge, so we're making money conversations relatable by inviting guests from all walks of life to share their real-life experiences with money. But this isn't your typical money show. We look at the emotional, psychological, and cultural factors that shape our relationship with money. So hit subscribe and join us for another episode of the Grow Your Money podcast.
Welcome to this episode of the Grow Your Money Challenge podcast.
Thank you.
So excited to have you guys. Very, very interesting panel. It's going to be full of giggles, I'm very sure.
Thank you for having us.
My name is Tynah Matembe, and I'm the founder of MoneyMatiX. Joining me today is Michael and Pheona Matembe from Radiant and Brighter. Hi, guys.
Hi.
Lovely to have you here.
Say it loud, say it loud.
Absolutely. And Nicholas Chisitu, thank you so much for making the time to join us. I'll let you guys introduce yourselves.
Starting from Nicholas.
Thank you. My name is Nicholas Chisitu, and I live in Livingstone. I've just moved to Scotland in the last 20 years, but I was a businessman in Uganda, working as a jeweler. Then I turned up in Scotland, and I'm doing various jobs to make ends meet and look after my family.
Thank you for joining us, Nicholas. Pheona, over to you.
And I am Tynah Matembe, co-founder and director of Radiant and Brighter Community Interest Company. It's been running for over 10 years now. And we set up in Scotland as an organization working with migrant communities and people who are minoritized, people of racialized backgrounds, supporting business startup, employment support. And latterly, we developed working with MoneyMatiX, in partnership with MoneyMatiX and different other partnerships, but specifically working with organizations in looking at how they diversify their workforce, and obviously with anti-racism and intercultural competence training and support, and looking at how Scotland is changing and shifting in terms of understanding culture, diversity of ethnicity, and aspects around New Scots.
Awesome. Brilliant. I learn something new every day I'm with you guys. So even to schedule this podcast, we had a conversation back and forth because you just never get it right? It's just trying to be diverse and inclusive can be very, very tricky. And you guys are absolute experts. So I'm really, really glad that you're partnered with us.
The landscape is ever changing, isn't it?
Absolutely. What about you?
Oh, my name is Michael Matembe, co-founder and director of Radiant and Brighter. Lived in Scotland 15 years.
Yes.
In the UK, coming to 20.
Yeah.
The reason why I'm looking at her is because she's my wife as well. So just in case anyone is wondering. So yeah, lived in Scotland 15 years, and it's lovely.
Yeah, it's great to be in Scotland.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Good. Thank you for joining us. So in this episode, one of the key things we are trying to do is to show money in all its different colors and shapes and sizes. And one of the things we found when we moved to the UK, certainly myself, was that everything was what I call vanilla. It's one size fits all, which is not the case at all. So one of the things we're keen to do is to showcase different financial journeys and stories so that services can start understanding the nuances of different communities and different people. When you move to a country, you have very different needs and requirements. But before we delve into that, I have a fun way of trying to uncover your characters. And I'll start with you, Michael.
Okay.
Describe your relationship with money using an emoji. Is that surprise? Is it shock? Is it
Both.
Okay.
It's surprise, it's shock. And when I look back when I was a little boy, money wasn't, I wanted to make money, but didn't have a plan. So it's one of those things where you want to do something, but it's kind of the end goal is just to enjoy life without a clear plan. There's no clarity around it. So as long as you have ways of making that money, then voila, you go for it. And how you do that is entirely up to you. So that guidance and support of how you make money and how you use money to work for you and all that is not there.
It wasn't natural.
No, it wasn't.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's an interesting emoji. Thank you. Fiona, same question. Interesting. The emoji covering their eyes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Is that in avoidance? Is it in why that emoji?
Yeah, to an extent, avoidance. I like making money. I like working for the money, but I need somebody to manage my finances for me. Hence, this wonderfully young, handsome man. So I need somebody to help me manage the finances because I don't want to be caught up in the Excel spreadsheets and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting. So the little monkey with the hands on their face. Interesting. What about you, Nicholas?
My emoji would be the one that does that. I don't know what I'm doing because my transition from Uganda to here was being a businessman in Uganda. I managed everything. I didn't have to, to look up to managers or anyone to run my businesses. It was all on me. Then I come into the UK. I start working as an employee, and I had set rules on what to do, how to go on about doing things, and then I'm being paid monthly or weekly according to the jobs I was doing. So for me, it was a culture shock, first of all, and a change in a different direction to what I was normally used to do. So I believe that my emoji of doing that says, I don't know, but I'm going with the flow and enjoying the flow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're quite right. I remember. So I think mine is between you, Michael, of like, really? Because I had never had to think about money. And so the day it came that I was like, I need to plan. Like that may not be in the account. That was so shocking to me because I think I just, growing up in Uganda, you used to just, I want something, I plan for it, I get it. And suddenly now, a month before your paycheck comes at the end of the month, you may not have money. Whereas in Uganda, you have all these different money coming in, So absolutely, very interesting.
Can I highlight something there?
Yes.
You've just touched on something. Because again, when you look at Uganda and where we are now in Scotland, when it comes to life in Uganda and how you deal with bills, for example, sometimes you have to, you find ways of negotiating. So, for example, with your landlord, or even when it comes to electricity bills and things like that. There is a relationship sometimes that you have to develop with those in power. In that when that time comes and you don't have the money, you can go and negotiate, and therefore they give you a grace period. Whereas here, sometimes that's not the case. If you've got to pay your TV license, you've got to do it. If you've got to pay the council tax, you've got to do it. There's no excuse. They're not
they'll
doing
find you if you don't.
Exactly. So it's
And
a very
why-
different.
Yeah, that's why it's
landscape,
really,
yeah.
really important for these conversations to be had.
Yes.
Because when you come from a culture that's so different and you get here and you're being, and the bill comes on a paper, nobody even speaks to you. You don't, it's difficult to translate into action.
Yeah.
So people get caught out. And so for me, having these conversations is just spot on.
But you also make a point there in terms of, getting that information on paper, because again, we are not used to that culture.
Yes. Having
Where-
a bill in itself.
Exactly. So initially, when you come here and everything is through the post,
Yeah.
and you've got to open those letters, sometimes it's scary and intimidating. So especially if you know that you're in debt, and these letters are constantly coming in, you get to a point where I don't want to look at them anymore.
Have you seen a council tax bill? If anybody can interpret it,
Comes all colors. When you get a red one, you know you're for the dog.
Absolutely. We actually had someone in the community said that the first weeks he came and went into a supermarket and he's looking at the prices and he's like, where is the person I'm going to discuss with? Because I'm not paying £2 for bread.
Exactly. Because you're thinking of negotiating.
Yeah. He's like, where is the guy? There's
Yeah.
no one showing me around, but I'm not paying £2 for the bread.
Exactly, yeah.
And he was like, man, the realization that I have to pay the £2 or walk out the shop was disturbing for a while, you know? And we don't realize that. Interesting. So I love this because we're really delving into the conversations that, you know, we're trying to unpack. The next one, Michael, you first again, is give yourself, your teenage self, one money tip.
Teenage self, one money tip. I think I would go back to, again, support. I think if I had been supported and educated in my teenage years, I would be at a different level. So that support and education for me would be the deal breaker.
Absolutely. For me, I keep thinking if all the money, because I had so much money in my teens, if I had just had someone who I told, take this money and keep it and give it to me when I'm 50, oh gosh, I'd be really, really rich, right? So education for you.
Education, and support. That education and support is critical. Because you find, especially now, you find young people doing things, but if they're not supported well, they end up again in the wrong and doing the wrong things. So I think that support and education is very important, especially at an early stage.
I agree. Thank you. Pheona?
I think for me it would be have a relationship with somebody who is ahead of you financially and who is stable. Because like you said, gosh, I had so much money. And perhaps I would add to that, don't spend all your money on takeaway. I spent my money on takeaways. And I think that relationship with somebody who, if you have a trusting and healthy relationship with somebody who's ahead of you, I think you're kind of ahead of the game. I never had any conversations around money except when I was asking for it or being given it or saying thank you. So I think those relationships are really important.
Absolutely. Very, very interesting. But I think the next question then comes to, which we will unpack later on. But I remember being new to the country and not knowing anyone. Certainly when I came to Scotland, I tell a story of literally being in a car park, meeting his wife, not me, my husband meeting his wife and running after her because we'd spent 2 years not knowing anyone else who could understand or relate to the cultural nuances. So how do you even unpack that? You know, how do you find this person that's ahead of you when you're navigating a new country, new things? It's, you know, it's a whole other conversation, but for sure, certainly. Thank you. Nicholas?
If I were to go back into my youth, my ways would have been to save, and save. Because just like in relation to what you've been saying, if we had a way of saving or even partially saving what we got then as young people, would be well off in this future. Now, you look back and you see that we've wasted so much money, so much of our youth, yet it's the youth that prepares you for a good old age. So if we had really invested in our youth or repatriated our profits back, would be right now millionaires, I could say. But I think that is also a springboard for us to prepare for the future because we still have lots of life ahead of us. We can use this time to still invest for the further future we have ahead of us.
Absolutely. Yep. And interestingly, what you've said reminds me of a saying. Have you ever heard the statement, youth is wasted on the young? Wow. When you're young, you're just going with life, which is what it should be. But guess what? There are all these things that hindsight would have really been helpful. You know, if you knew, you're like, man, I remember blowing 2 million shillings on XYZ and that could have done something else interesting. And then the next thing you know, you're in your midlife. Yeah. Yes. You are in the midlife. It's like, wait, what happened? You know, how did this? So very interesting. Youth, if you're listening, take note. Take
Absolutely.
The next one is interesting. It's if you would create a personal finance themed TikTok trend, what would it be and what would the hashtag be? Social media craze. So you have to do a TikTok. Michael, you go first again. You're the one you're the one in the firing line. Personal finance, TikTok, and your hashtag.
Let Pheona go first on this one.
Fiona, you go.
I think it would be a hashtag invest now.
Wow. Hashtag invest now.
Yes. Whether it's investing in, and I wouldn't be thinking investing the money. I would be thinking investing in the right relationships to lead you to financial stability. Whether it's the relationship with a job or the relationship with somebody who can mentor you, or relationship with thinking about your career and what you do. Even just when I think about it, even things around how, whether you choose to be part of a savings club or something, that really comes with the relationships. So I would say invest now, because I invested in very unhealthy relationships unnecessarily.
Yeah. And takeaways.
And I ate
Found out you
takeaways.
had takeaways
Yes.
and poor relationships.
Yes.
That's a very good TikTok. Actually, one of the things that we are toying with at MoneyMatiX is how do we make investing sexy for youth? Because you mentioned the word investing and people just, I have nothing to do with that. I don't understand that. And you turned off. We need to start unpacking what investment looks like. And I like what you've said, that investing is not just in money. It's in relationships. It's in giving back time. It's in educating yourself. All those are investments. But I think when we talk about investments, you're just like, that's just some complicated,
Yeah, because when you talk about investment, instantly we think about money. But if you don't have the right relationships, you don't even know what to do with that money. You could end up in the wrong investments. I'm sure I can almost bet each one of us here has invested in the wrong something because of a wrong relationship. 100%. So if we are able to invest in the right relationships, then we're somehow going the right way.
Absolutely. Thank you for that one. Are you ready with your TikTok theme, Nicholas, or should Michael go?
Let me go with that TikTok thing. First of all, I'm not a TikToker. I watch TikToks with videos that have been forwarded to me by friends and pals, but TikTok is not my thing, really.
Make it a YouTube. Make it YouTube.
YouTube, okay. I would really suggest the investing part of it is really very nice, but I would really like to network, which is also part of what you're saying. It's just expounding on what you're saying. Networking is getting to know more people and inclusive, where you have your birds of the same feather. I would really like that, because if I had an opportunity to expand more and network and make more friends, we have like-minded ideas, and also people who can expand on what I know already, that would really help me into investing into better relationships, better programs where I can make more money, or even make use of the money I have right now. So that was very important for me. And MoneyMatiX has given me that opening where I can do the investments and also to monitor the money I have and put it to good use.
Monitor for sure.
Oh, yeah.
No, absolutely. I hear you. And there's a saying, there's someone that says, if you hang around a barber shop long enough, you're going to get a haircut.
Oh, yeah. That's
So networks are really important. If you hang around the barber shop, you're going to get a haircut. You hang around the golf club, you're going to play golf at some point, right?
Did you bring your beddings? We're staying here. We're not
You're
leaving.
staying in the barber shop. So thank you for that, Nicholas. Michael?
I think for me, and I'll use this, it's a common phrase used by one of the biggest supermarkets, every little helps.
Absolutely.
Because when we are talking of savings and investment and money and all that, the picture that people normally have is, I don't have enough. If you're talking investment, do I need to have thousands of pounds for me to start? But actually, when you look at it, especially when you're starting at an early stage, whatever little you have, if you learn to use that properly, then it gives you the opportunity to even do better. Absolutely. But again, it goes back to that point which I made. If we can find ways of supporting our children in saving whatever little they have. We teach them how to do that, and out of that, they can then think of bigger things as they grow. So every little,
amazing, yeah.
every little
In
helps.
fact, I have a real life scenario with every little helps. So I have a bank account that allows me to automate my. So what happens is if I spend £7.89, it rounds up and puts the change to our different pot of money. So if I go and buy a takeaway, if I buy a takeaway for £18.20, it will take the 80 pence and put it into this saving pot.
Wow.
And we've been doing this for about 3 years. £900.
Wow.
When I looked in the pot about last week, £900 from rounding up 80 pence, 20p,
pence.
everything.
Yeah.
So you're very right.
Yeah.
Every little helps. Every little helps.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So we don't
amazing.
have to wait for, and sometimes,
bang.
yes,
Yeah.
sometimes that's what we are thinking of. Oh, when it comes to investment, when I get that job, when I strike that deal, when I get that money, that's when I will do this. But actually, if you start small and you keep building up, you can get there.
Brilliant. And I'm going to get that supermarket to come and start sponsoring the podcast. So
Fantastic. Go for it.
It links in. It links in. So we should bring them on board.
Yeah. So wherever you are, Tesco, here we come.
Come over. Come over.
Yes.
He went there. The next ones, two of them. One is, what's your financial goal for this year, if you don't mind sharing? And what are you doing towards it? And the last one is going to be, just tell us your role model, your favorite book, and favorite film.
You're listening to the Grow Your Money podcast. We'll be right back after giving our partners a well-deserved shout-outs. Calling all partners, join the Grow Your Money Challenge. We're excited to present our incredible sponsors who believe in empowering individuals and communities on their financial journey. Discover their services and join us in creating a brighter financial future. Featuring the Royal Bank of Scotland, your trusted banking partner with a rich heritage and comprehensive financial services. Explore their online banking at www.rbs.co.uk. Gift Round. Make group gifting a breeze. Celebrate special occasions together with colleagues, friends, and family. Create a gift round at giftround.co.uk and show your appreciation. Radiant and Brighter, promoting diversity and economic participation in migrant communities. Get involved with their innovative practices at radiantandbrighter.com. Rooted Finance. Struggling with debt or financial exclusion? Rooted Finance provides free money and debt advice services to put you on the path to financial freedom. Join the Grow Your Money Challenge in this transformative journey toward financial growth and resilience. Visit MoneyMatiX.com to get involved today.
I think my and our financial goal this year is
I'm looking at you thinking the secrets are going to come out.
is to invest. Is it in sight? Yes, because we've planned and we've put a few things in place now in terms of saving and how we save and how we manage our finances. So I think one of our goals this year is to invest and do something
That's awesome.
by the end of the year.
Awesome. And I remember, the investment journey as well. It's like, okay, so this year we're investing. So let's get all the investment books out there. Let's get things going. Nice. So I'll skip you then because it will be similar.
The same.
Nicholas?
Well, for my case, I'm trying to invest into property abroad, especially Uganda. I like to invest in Uganda because I really realized my profits come back faster when I invest in Uganda. So some of the properties that I've built in Uganda, I want to convert them to a company called Airbnb because I'm in Uganda just a few months of the year. So by leaving the properties empty, I'm not generating any money. They're just lying to waste. So I'd rather put them into a company like that where they can be put to use. They're serving the community and they're feeding my bank account as well.
Brilliant. And is Airbnb operational there?
It's still operational.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So they have stuff going on in Uganda?
Yes, they do. They have
Brilliant.
stuff everywhere around the world. So in any
Nice.
country you go to, I used to be a host of Airbnb here in Europe,
Yes.
in UK, but then I closed it down. But I've opened it again in Uganda. So I believe it will be a nice venture
That's
because I've
awesome.
been in it before.
So
Yeah.
it's a side hustle for you.
Oh yeah.
Oh my! So if anyone's going to Uganda, we
Feel
got a
free,
host.
call me.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. So role model, movie, and book. Favorite ones.
Wow.
Fiona, you go first this time.
Oh my. Okay. Role model, movie, and book. Okay. First of all, let me just say, when it comes to the financial side of things, you are the experts. So for me, when it comes to role models and movies and books, it's all going to be about anti-racism. I'm sorry.
Absolutely, that's absolutely
I
fine.
am reading a book right now, How to Be Anti-Racist, by surname Kendi, and I'm thinking of the first name, and I've forgotten the first name, which is a shame. But Kendi is the surname. If I remember it, I'll say it. But and that's because it really sits in with what I'm doing. But when it comes to role model, I think he's talking financially or
No, just anything in your life.
Oh, role model is really a difficult one. It's challenging, but I think no, I have role models, but I've since changed my mind and thought about them differently. But I find Barack Obama very inspirational. Yeah, and I think it's because he's able to be himself and at the same time be able to lead. I find him authentic, which is challenging because he's a politician as well, but he comes from the community development background, which is where I come from.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Barack Obama.
Awesome. Nicholas?
As for role models, I have my mother-in-law. She's an old lady in Uganda. She's called Mrs. Mary Nakatomulongo. This is a lady that transformed my life in so many ways. She was my mother-in-law, but she loved me as a son. And just her level of intelligence was way beyond anyone could ever know. She didn't go to school, but she was well learned and very talented in that whatever she proposed to you or even advised you about came to fruition. So she had that, and she lived a life whereby you admired whatever she did. She touched very many different people in society, and whoever comes into this lady's life realizes her value to life. So to me, she means a lot to me. Then for movies, I can't really state which particular movie I like. I love movies of all sorts. My love for movies is diverse, so that I watch a different movie every day probably. So I can't really pinpoint which one. The movies touch me in very many different ways. But Gladiator is one of those movies I really liked a lot. It inspires someone to Russell. Yeah, that is a Russell Crowe movie, and it inspires someone to push on into life, despite the pains that are around you. But you push on, and finally you win. Okay, you just go for it, and you always get to get the rewards. Yeah.
Nice. You, Michael?
Role model, T.D. Jakes.
Bishop T.D. Jakes. Did I see that he handed over to
the
his
daughter.
daughter?
Yes.
Wow.
So I enjoy his preaching. We are Christians, so I enjoy his preaching. I enjoy his teachings. When it comes to movies, I'm not so much into movies. Whatever my kids come up with, I tend to
You go with the flow.
just tend to flow with that. So I tend not to be so rigid. So I'm flexible. I don't have specific movies that catch me. Yeah.
Nice. Oh, that's maybe along that line. One of my favorite people is Tyler Perry. I love Tyler Perry, and he blends with, he's very authentic. He's Christian. He's loaded. He gives out his money. I'm like, man, that is what a Christian life should look like. And he does movies as well. So Yeah, when you said TDJX, I remember that one of my absolute faves is Tyler Perry. I love him so much. Okay, we've actually unpacked so much during this. So I'll ask you two last questions and we'll wrap this session up. What is, if you can think about like the biggest difference of money from where you come from originally and moving to the UK, what's the biggest difference that has affected you financially?
Okay, with me, I would think the biggest difference is that pounds are very heavy compared to shillings. For a start, with the difference of 5,000 shillings compared to £1, that really makes a big shock in the pockets, especially. So the pound actually pounds. It has that impact on whatever it does. When you use the money of pound and you use it anywhere in Uganda, it will have an impact on whatever you're doing. Your sales, your things you buy will all have an impact. Yet when you use the shilling, it will be not so great, not as painful as the pound. So coming into the UK, I found that using the pound, I knew I had value in my pocket as compared to the Ugandan shilling. So most of my investments, even in my savings, I always want to save my money right now using pounds, because even if the prices will dwindle, they won't really make affect your pocket too much as if you kept it in Uganda shillings or even saved it back in Uganda. Yeah.
Interesting. Funny enough, when we had just moved here, we would convert everything. You look at, you like a loaf of bread is 12,000? What is going on?
I wanted to bring that out because when you've just moved from Uganda and come here, obviously because you're used to the old system and mindset, everything that you look at, you try to convert. And initially, you're careful with the spending.
Yes.
Because you're like, oh,
how am I spending?
12,000 just for that. and you tend to hold back until, you start to get into yes. But initially, those first few years is hectic, is terrible. You're scared to spend the money. You're worried of how you're going to get the money. Going back to that point that I was making, you don't have relationships, you don't know anyone. So even when you go to the shops and you need salt or a tin of tomatoes, you've got to pay for it.
You have to.
You can't go to the shop.
You can't say, man, pass me a
note that down. I'll come back in the evening.
I owe you. I can't stop laughing because when I first came, my brother said to me, okay, you need to find a job, blah, blah, blah. And I'm thinking, I want to find a job. But I said to him, I am going to do care. And he's like, care? Why are you interested in care? I said, they make money in care. They make £500 a week, right? And I'm thinking, I'm translating this £500. It's millions back home, right? My plan was that I work. Within a year or two, I go back home. I'll be rich.
You'll be rich. Yes.
With all these millions I'm making a week.
Yes.
I mean,
forgetting that you're making them, but you're spending them.
I'm spending it. Yeah.
We had an interesting incident. So when we moved, we'd been in Scotland for a couple of months. We started settling. It's crazy. And we have to do all the housework. This was a thing. I was like, how? I have to do all the cooking, cleaning all by myself. So my husband, Godwin, goes, Tynah, just find a housekeeper because I'm tired. Every time I come home, you're biting my ear off. I'm like, absolutely. So he goes to his office and brings, what is it called? The yellow pages. And I look for a house girl. It's not there. I look for a maid. It's not there. But then I find a section that says housekeepers. I'm like, bring it on. I phone them up. What do you need done? What do you mean, what do I need done? Everything. I need the whole house. Okay, how many hours?
Yeah, and you're like, what?
You guys. They were charging me by the hour. I was like,
you earn.
I quickly reorganized my lifestyle.
And they started doing
doing the housework
yourself.
I always go back to that point where before I'd come to the UK, I had my sisters and friends who had come to the UK before. And I remember normally when they came back, we called them Basama, back home. And then they come back home on holiday and they're telling you how life is here and how things are here, and they're paid by the hour. And again, going back to that point that you made, and you calculate this money,
£10 an hour.
£10 an hour. In a month, say for example, it's £1,000, and you're like, goodness me, £1,000 in Uganda, we're talking about 4.5.
4.5 million.
You understand?
DJs.
So
And that can do
in
a lot.
Uganda, you're thinking, if at all I get an opportunity to go, I'll be able to save.
£800.
No. 2 M. Yeah, 2 million.
Yes.
Because no one tells you about the council tax, the TV license, the rent, the MOT, yes, in case you're driving and all that. And so you're thinking, at most, I'll save this and then spend this. And then when you get here, it's a completely different. You go to look for a job and they're asking you for the NI.
Yes.
You want the NI and they say you first have to get a job. What's going on? Just give me a job.
And you want to go to the bank and they ask you for references
Yes.
from where you work. You haven't got a job. You're trying to get a job and then you have to have references.
So all those things are.
It's chicken and egg.
Yes,
I need the bank account to get the job. I need the NI to get the job.
Exactly.
Guys, give me an order of.
You have to go.
How do
you
I
have
do
to have a
this?
doctor.
Yeah.
You have to have so many documents. You have to show a document. Which document requires you to have an address?
Yes.
Even for a driving license, you have to have an address.
Yeah.
So how do you start?
How
Where
do you start?
So
The first time someone asked me for who my GP was, I almost punched the guy. I was like,
Yeah. What do you mean?
GP? The doctor? What has that got to do with the price of sugar? Why do you want to know why do you want to know where I go to get checked up? What is it to you?
Yes.
You know?
So really, your first 5 years in the country, you're navigating this system.
it's a complete culture.
5, 10.
10, exactly, sometimes 10 years. You're still navigating this system that no one is supporting you and advising you and actually telling you, this is how you have to do it. This is how things are done. And I think that is the reason why I think what you are doing as MoneyMatiX, this is critical in our community.
People to settle in and see their financial journey, to start on their financial journey, which is good for a person who's just coming in, but it's also good for people who have been here because you look back and say, wait a minute, this is where I went wrong. I can do this right.
Yes.
Yeah.
And there's, opportunities, absolutely.
Yeah, and going back to what you found very different or what shocked you, for me, the mindset, even now, because here, there is a sense of we don't have money. Even when you have it, there is a sense of I don't have money. And so particularly, I think Scotland is fascinating because I lived in London for 10 years and then I moved to Scotland. And you don't, when you meet people, you don't know who has money and who doesn't.
Yes.
Back home, believe me, in
You will
Uganda,
know.
you know who has
The money
money.
speaks.
They will show you they have money.
No, going back to this story, the time I was in Uganda, you knew Nicholas
Has money, you know?
I lived the lifestyle.
Yeah.
You have to flaunt it because you have it. You show it.
Uganda, yes, but here in Scotland, nobody shows off. Everyone has, like, you're not buying them sugar. There's no reason for them to tell you whether they have money or not. So in the mind, people are cautious and they're not going about feeling, well, for me anyway, bragging about it. And so the spend is where you see the money. Okay, so you see that, you see wealth in the spend. But in the thinking, that's slightly different. Now, back in Uganda, what we have is we spend even without thinking. The moment it's in, it's out. Not for everybody, of course, but a lot of how I was and the surroundings I had, I suppose maybe it's changed now, or maybe people are better where I wasn't. But I felt like we have a rich mindset. In our minds, we are wealthy, we have money.
Even
when you don't have
penny.
it, you walk around like you have money.
You have this
right?
hope that it will be coming in any minute.
It'll come
right now.
tomorrow, and then you spend it,
Yeah.
and you have nothing.
back to
But you're
zero.
walking like you have money.
You know, one of the biggest culture shocks for me was eventually as we started integrating, and then a work colleague says, "Oh, let's go and have a coffee," and they invite you to go and have a coffee, and then you split in the bill. I'm like, bro, you invited me to come, because in Uganda, abomination. You're going to buy that coffee, you're going to buy cake, you host, you spend it, you really do spend it, literally.
But let's be real, I still find that challenging.
Which one? When somebody
Invites me for a coffee, and I buy the coffee, because if I invite them, I still can't get over the fact that I should buy them the coffee.
Sister, get used to this.
I know.
If I invite you for a coffee, you're going to pay for it.
I am not paying for the coffee, but invited by a Ugandan. I'm not paying, Nicholas. I refuse to integrate.
It's been a brilliant episode. Thank you so much. It's been amazing. Maybe as we wrap up, have you found any resources useful for you in managing your money or navigating money on your journey, being new to the UK? If you can think of one resource or, one tip that has been helpful that someone that's new to the country can pick up and be like, yep, tomorrow I can go and do that.
My tip has been joining MoneyMatiX as a network for me. It's helped me in so many ways, determining my mortgages and stuff. You've helped me a lot on that journey. As a person, I'm not good with handling bills. But when I have someone who helps me do that and advises me on do that, it really frees my spirit and I get on to do things that I enjoy doing. So I'm very thankful for MoneyMatiX.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah, for me, a couple of things. The first thing is I'm a relational person. So first and foremost, come out of your comfort zone. Just go. Nowadays, events are on Eventbrite. Get on Eventbrite, find an event. Don't worry what it is. Just go find people that are not like you, because we stick to our own communities. Come out of your own community. Meet other people that are not like you. They expose you to different things. So I think that is really important because it helps with the mindset shift. But the second thing is have friends like Tynah.
Oh dear, no. That is not what I was hoping for,
But you got it.
If you stick around now, she's going to change you to be like her.
It does help.
That's her motto.
Yeah, and have that accountability. When you have somebody that you can be friends with, that you can talk to, or that you can hold each other accountable and say, no, you can't do that.
Yeah. That's awesome. I think just to tap into what you're saying about networking, it can be a big worry when you're new to, how do I even go to an event? And I just wanted to point it out and say it's okay to literally go to an event the first few times and observe. You're not being paid to talk to anyone. Just get used to being in a new space. Get used, the first few times you don't have to talk to anyone. Look at how people approach each other. Don't worry about being approached. And the other thing is know your boundaries. Like you may not be you may be an introvert, you don't like hanging out with people. So it's fine to just stand on the sideline, look around, but don't be insular, because networking can be very difficult as well. When you don't know what to say, it's okay not to know what to say. Just stand in a corner. Or what I used to do in the beginning was find one person who's not smiling for 2 seconds, because typically I found people would smile and then the mouth is closed again. I'd look out for whoever has smiled longer than 2 seconds and go and stand with them for the rest of that event. So networking can sound challenging, but if you just get into the space first, go for 30 minutes, go for an hour next time, you should get the hang of that. Thank you for that tip.
I think, again, for me, is, when you come to a new place, where you arrive, or the people that welcome you, or the first people that you engage with often determine. Yes. And it's going back to the story that you were saying in terms of you wanting to go into care. It's purely because you had
Your
people.
surroundings,
Everyone is in care.
Interestingly, I was never going to go into care.
Yeah.
I was like, yo, what will I say to my dad? Like, why did that,
Yes.
So it depends on you. Very, very right.
Yes. So the first people that you engage with or welcome you is critical. And sometimes we are locked into whatever that person says to us. So if you find them, and it's not that these jobs are not good, they are good, but sometimes we...
Is that your calling? Is that why you're...
Yeah, are you doing
Are you
it?
good at it? I was rubbish at it.
Yes.
Yes.
So,
Were you?
Can you imagine?
yeah.
I
would be
cared.
absolutely
But
rubbish.
I cried, I lost weight, I was scared of people being so ill. I was so bad at it, like I wasn't really helping people that like I...
You should come to me, I'll get you back to the industry.
No, it's not a thing.
Yeah.
So I think it's important where you arrive and who welcomes you, but also being open to other alternatives. Because sometimes we get so, into, if this one, they're telling me to do this, I don't have another alternative, I will just stick to that. And by the time, again, we wake up, it's 10 years down the road. And those 10 years, you're doing this and you're still struggling to find your feet and all that. So where you arrive, who welcomes you is critical. But also alongside that, being open to other alternatives. Because if you're just narrow-minded and just sticking to what the people are saying to you, you might miss out on the opportunities.
Brilliant. So be an open book. Go and research and look for stuff. Thank you so much. It's been an amazing insight into being new to country. You've shared so many tips. We are very, very grateful. And we will definitely be having you all on again sometime soon because you've been very good. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for having us. Yeah.
Thank you for listening to the Grow Your Money podcast. If you're looking to take actionable steps toward achieving your financial goals, visit MoneyMatiX.com. That is money, MATIX.com. And join our free Grow Your Money Challenge. Let's unite in the movement to inspire people to talk about money. Thank you for being a part of our community. We'll see you in the next episode.